creatives, welcome to my channel. Today we are going to be diving into 3 ways to use blends. I'm going to show you a little bit about making a social media campaign at the same time. For anyone who is new here, my name is Angela. I am a graphic designer and an illustrator. If you like Illustrator design videos or anything like that, anything creative basically, go ahead and subscribe. And if you have subscribed, thank you. I know we have a lot of new people here, so thank you so much. You guys let me know all the time that you like my teaching style. I'm glad that my videos are helping you guys. And let's dive in to Illustrator on the iPad. I do have a 10.2 inch iPad. I don't have the newest one, maybe one day. And I have the original Apple Pencil one. I'm gonna take you through everything. I already have my artboards set up for all of you. If you're a student, a lot of student work is basically fictitious companies that you're doing stuff for, so that way you can learn your skills. I created Matrix Media, just, for alliteration. I have my original artboard, which is right down here, which is a tabloid sized artboard. It's 11 by 17 in the inches. In pixels, it's 792 by 1224 pixels. Okay, so that's what it is. I don't memorize these things, guys. Okay, it's a lot to memorize. That is the one I'm starting with. This artboard over here is for stories or for TikTok, if you will. This is a 1080 by 1920 size artboard. Over here on this square artboard here is going to be a post. So basically for Instagram post. This is a 1080 pixel by 1080 pixel square artboard. So that's where we're gonna start. I'm gonna start, of course, with creating some layers. I'm going to start on layer 1. Layer 1 is going to be the first artboard here, or where we're going to make our actual campaign ad, if you will. So I'm going to start with a box. I don't want a stroke on it. If you don't know how to take a stroke off something, you just tap over here. There's a fill color here, and then there's a stroke here. There is a circle here that has a red line going through it, which is null. Tap on that and it nulls out the stroke, which means no stroke. I will put a gradient through this because gradients are making a comeback. If you guys want a design trends video, I'm planning to film it, but if you want it, let me know. For now, more desaturated green. The first way we use blends is to blend shapes. So I will show you about blending shapes, strokes, and also text. That's going to be really fun. I'm going to take a shape, let's do a circle, null the fill, and I'm going to do a stroke. Okay. If you hold down, there is a touch constraint over here. Right here where my finger is. Hold that with your finger and tap and drag with your Apple Pencil to get a fully constrained, perfectly proportioned shape, in this case circle. Flip-flop my stroke and my fill. So these double arrows over here allow you to very quickly flip your stroke for your fill or vice versa. Let's duplicate this shape, put it up here, hold down my constraint and slide my finger to any direction till the constraint turns white, and I'm going to downsize this. Now what this did is it downsized it completely start from the center. So instead of downsizing it to one corner, it downsized it completely to the center. Tap on the second shape while holding down the touch constraint. All of your blends are down here on the right toolbar. There is this Ferris wheel looking icon, I guess you would say. The fair is in town, guys, sorry. This is the repeat options toolbar. So you have repeats for radial, grid, and mirror, but then below that is the blend option. So I'm gonna tap on blend, there we go. So it blends the shapes just like so. If you select this, you can see the line of blend. This line here, that's the line of blend. You can also change these options in the properties panel. Down here under opacity, you have the blend section, and you can change the amount of steps. You can also change the orientation. You can pretty much make it move however you want. There's also reverse, and you can reverse spine, which basically just flips it. Reverse spine is very fascinating to do with text. We'll get there. There's also replace spine, which is so much fun too, especially with text. We'll get into that as well. You can reduce the steps from 60, which is for some reason the default. And we can reduce it to, let's see what 40 looks like. It doesn't change very much. Okay, let's go down to 10. You can see some wobbling. All right, let's go down to 5. More wobbling. All right, that's good. And then you can also do smooth and you can do distance. Smooth, depending on how far away the distance is between the two, it'll make a smooth transition blend. Distance is where it fills up the full distance from one shape to another. That is the most commonly used one. However, I prefer steps just because I can make some funky blended shapes here. All right. If we zoom in here, you can see that there is an icon here. It might be a little tricky to see, but there is a little icon here with an arrow pointing up and an arrow pointing down. If you tap and drag that up, it gives you more steps. If you tap and drag it down, it gives you less. So there's another way you can do that without having to use the properties panel. That is our shape. You can go into your point selection tool here and tap the first shape. We can change the color of it, and then we can have a blend from color to color. So I'm going to choose like this chartreusey green, and you can see how it does these really cool stages. You see that? Isn't that awesome? I think it's really cool. So if you wanted to change the order of these, you can reverse front to back in the options here under blend. It might be a little tricky to see because it for some reason stays grayed out. I don't know why, but it stays grayed out. But that first option, reverse front to back, is the one that you will choose. That way you can have it going from the front to the back instead of back to front. So that is one option. I'm going to use my point selection tool to select this back one. And I'm going to do a darker green. Let's start with our original. There we go. So it looks like it's going in stages back there. That looks really quite cool. Now, I did mention that there is a spine to this path blend. You can actually tap on this here, and we can change the endpoint, and you can move everything that's here. Isn't that so cool? I think that's so cool. I'm going to change them from blunt endpoints to movable endpoints and make it into a spiral. Just like so. Now that we have that, take this, duplicate it by tapping on it and pressing the double pages with the plus sign in it. It's duplicated. I'm going to bring it down here. In the properties panel, I'm going to rotate it. I'm going to rotate it 180 degrees so that way it's that way. And that way we have it to where it is even from top to bottom. I'm just going to put these into place. So that is blending of shapes. So we blended one shape to another shape, which is smaller, and then we messed with the steps and all of that. Let me show you really quickly about blending from one type of shape to another type of shape very quickly. So let's do that circle one more time. I'm going to zoom in here. Tap, drag, hold down your constraint, and then instead of a circle, I'm also going to do a square. Let's deselect that one. Choose our square tool, hold down our constraint, tap and drag, and it's going to be a square. Now we can select both of these, holding down our constraint to select them both. Go to the repeat options, tap blend, and it will blend these two shapes. Go into the properties panel, second icon on your right toolbar. Go into, I think, let's do 8 steps. And that makes some really fun shapes. Let's even do 6. There we go. Let's reverse front to back. I'll show you what that really looks like with this being a darker color. All right, so I'm going to select the entire blend, and just like I did before, I'm going to choose the point selection tool and select the blend path. That's what it's called, the blend path. And I'm just going to curve this, and I'm going to choose this other point over here, and I'm going to curve it in the opposite direction. And you can make some really, really fascinating blends here. You can even add a point in here. Pen tool, add a point, warp it even more. And you can literally just play around with it. Like, it gets to be so much fun. You can spend literally hours trying to do this. So I'm going to get rid of this. I mentioned earlier that we're going to do a gradient. So let's choose the background and let's make a gradient here. Now to blend text on a new layer. Choose my type tool. I'm going to tap anywhere, double tap, type in matrix. It could be whatever you choose. Move this over. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger by tapping on the double T's in the pop-up selection menu that's right here. Flip my fill for my stroke, increase my stroke weight. Let's go 5. Go to this type menu option over here on the right toolbar, outline the text. It turns it into a path. It makes this all into a compound path. So I'm gonna release the compound path. That way they're all paths. Duplicate this, drag it down here. And I'm gonna decrease the size of this by holding down my touch constraint over here and tapping and dragging inwards. There we go. Select both of them. Go over here to the repeat tool over here on the right toolbar and tap blend. Whoa, okay, that is way too many. So let's go into the properties panel, but that's what it'll do. And then you can go into the properties panel and make all of your changes. So let's make our changes from 60 steps to 10. Let's see how that looks. Let's do 5, 4. There we go. All right, and that is the text blend. I have it to where it looks like the X's are blending down. The M's not so much, so I'm gonna tap on this one, double tap, hold down my constraint and decrease this a little bit so that way it looks like it's going like from wider to smaller as we go down. You can even move this back and forth and around if you want. The spacing of this looks a little off. So take my point selection tool, increase and decrease these handles for the spacing in between. That looks about good to me. If we wanted this to stay like this, it can stay like this. But if we wanted to change the color, we can. Let's just tap our selection tool here. Tap once to activate the blend. Double tap to select our text. Let's make this that dark green. Dark green. I'm gonna add that as a swatch. That's our dark green. Same process. Double tap in our first one to make this that bright chartreuse green. Shall I do it like that? It's a little bit difficult to read just because it's on top of the chartreuse green already. Kind of like a bright type of green. Select this entire thing, duplicate it, send that one back, move it down slightly, take the blend mode and we're gonna make it into a multiply. I'm also gonna bring the opacity down a little bit so that it kind of looks like it has a shadow. Let's move it slightly over. That way it's more easily readable. There we go. So now we have something that looks like that. We can also blend strokes as well for other types of shapes and other types of patterns, like parametric patterns, if you will. To blend some strokes, it's a very similar process to blending shapes. So we're gonna use the pen tool for this. I know, the pen tool. People love it, people hate it. Let's choose that one. I'm also going to choose that dark green again, and we're gonna create our own stroke path. Lock the background layer, hide both my text and my shape layer, and we're gonna do stroke blends on a new layer with the pen tool selected and that dark green color on the stroke, because we're only using strokes here. I'm going to make my own little path. It could be any type of shape path that you want. It doesn't have to be perfect if you don't want it to be perfect. And I typically really don't want this to be perfect. There we go. I'm gonna choose my point selection tool to clean up my paths and points a bit. Some of these ended up sharper than what I wanted them to be. Now this is not a very thick stroke. Choose my selection tool. I'm gonna tap on the stroke path. And there are these 3 lines in the quick selection pop-up menu that are here. So I'm going to tap on those and I'm going to tap and drag the slider to the right to increase the stroke to about 9. That seems pretty good. Yours could be completely different, that's totally fine. Duplicate it by pressing the double pages on the quick selection menu. Tap on my touch selector here, slide to whatever direction, just slide out until it turns white. Tap and drag this in and decrease the size quite a bit. So now we have 2 shapes. Select both of them by opening the layers panel and tapping on the layer itself. Very quick and easy. Go to our repeat toolbar over here, our repeat panel in the right toolbar. Tap on blend and it gives us this really cool blend. Go into our properties panel. As we have done before a few times, we're gonna go down to the blend options area in the properties panel instead of 60 steps, which I don't know why it's defaulted to 60. That's a lot. I don't know who's using 60 steps in their blends, but I mean, let's decrease this and see what 40 looks like. 40 looks pretty cool. Let's try 30. 30 looks even cooler. Let's see about 25. Okay, 25 looks like it's the sweet spot. Okay, ooh, I like that a lot. Check that out. If you wanted to change the colors between the shapes and have it go through like stages and make it look really cool, all you have to do is go to your layers panel, open up the blend by tapping on these little triangles here to the left. Let's see, which one was our small shape? That's our large shape, that's our small shape. Okay, so I'm gonna tap on that one. And then over here on the stroke, I'm gonna tap on it and I'm going to change it to a different color. Let's make it that yellow. Let's reverse front to back. So that way it looks like it's going back instead of front. It does give you a nice gradation. However, let's see about smaller steps. Let's go into 20 and see if it gives me more of an array. Yeah, okay. You can always go back into the smallest shape. I'm gonna decrease this even more. And you don't have to keep it dead center. If you don't want your shapes dead center, choose the crosshairs and move it around wherever you want it to go. The outer shape, I'm going to increase the size of by holding down my touch constraint. I'm going to tap on the entire thing by tapping on the layer itself. I'm going to move it into place. All right, let's turn on our other layers. This one seems to be competing quite a bit. I'm going to select this layer, everything that's on the layer, by tapping on the layer itself, and then take down the opacity. Quite a bit. I'm going to probably do it to like 36. Let's see what happens if I do multiply. Color burn looks cool. You just mess around with the blend pass, to be honest with you. I really like the color burn effect. And you get something that looks like this. There is one last thing I want to do, and I want to increase the steps of these. Let's do 8. That looks much better. Same thing here. Let's do 8. Make it a little bit more seamless. And that is our piece. I think this came out really quite good. I'm very impressed with this. So that is blending shapes, blending text, and blending strokes. And now I'm going to take this and I'm going to reframe it into the other artboards so that way we can make our media campaign. And that is our media campaign for Matrix Media. So I can definitely go in and add quite a bit more to this, but that is how you use blends to blend text, strokes, and shapes. I hope you all learned a little bit more about using blends, and let me know down below what you are going to be using blends for, if you're going to be using shape blends, stroke blends, or text blends. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comments down below. I will do my best to answer them. Don't forget to give this video a like if you liked it and it was helpful. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you all in the next video. See you soon, creatives.